Okay, I may be live now. Let's see if this is working. Let's see, test 1, 2, 3. Looks like it's working. Okay, we have sound. I learned that with Restream, apparently, I'm not paying enough money to be heard. So it makes you think that you're being heard, but you actually aren't. Looks like it's working. Okay, we have sound. And now I can hear you're hearing. I learned that with Okay. Wow. Okay. Technologies are tough to figure out sometimes, but I am the dummy that tries out the everything we've got available to us, and then I'll let you know what works and what doesn't work. But really, the Restream software, if you've ever tried to use it, if you have the standard level, it makes you think you have Live Studio, and then you can use it. But I just used it, and my volume wouldn't work. And so anyways, what I was wanting to discuss wasn't heard by anybody because I guess I'm not paying enough via Restream to have my voice heard, but I can actually go through Zoom and be restreamed. So I've got it taken care of. But what I want to do is help you if you have questions about what's going on. America is being targeted from every different direction right now. Marxists, people who want to live in socialism and communism and destroy families and destroy belief in God, they're coming from all different directions. And I've seen it this week as a John Birch Society field coordinator. And this week, I've had some interesting experiences, and I just want to say I'm finding there's more and more people awake, than you could ever imagine. Really, I've had people confide with me that they can't speak up. If you work for a major corporation and you speak out, you can lose your job. A lot of these major corporations, they've already been bought out by the Marxists. So it's either for them, if they speak out at a county council meeting, like I did on Monday. I spoke out at my county council meeting. Even the chairman of the county council met me in the parking lot afterwards to talk to me because evidently what I said was it was kind of harsh, because we're wearing these face masks, and I wish I had one with me to show you, but we're wearing these because we are being conformed. All the evidence. In fact, I had a doctor tell me today, he said he was wearing a face mask, by the way. The doctor actually told me that wearing a face mask is more harmful to you than it is if you weren't wearing it. The COVID-19 is our true virus, and it can harm somebody. But if we're all wearing these face masks, that is going to be more harmful to our health than it would be otherwise. The best thing we can do as Americans is not wear masks. In fact, he went through, and I was actually told by a nurse told me about this yesterday, I think through her podcast. I don't think she actually, maybe I listened to her podcast, and she may be listening to this if she's on Facebook right now, because that's how I connected with her. But these medical people have to be properly fitted with their masks. It's not an easy process to get a mask if you're a surgeon or a medical doctor. There is a way where everything gets properly fitted to make sure that you're not spreading viruses when you're doing surgery on a patient. What we're doing today at restaurants and at Walmart, or even my local Sam's Club here, they're making us wear face masks, supposedly. I mean, I guess you could probably take it off once you walk through the front door. That's what a lot of us were doing in Costco for a long time. Then a lot of us switched to Sam's Club, and now Sam's Club's enforcing the rules. So anyways, Dollar General is not requiring masks. So I guess we're all going to have to find everything we need at Dollar General, which everything in Dollar General I think is made in China. So there's just no winning situation as Americans. We've been sold out. let's just deal with the truth. And this is a book that the John Birch Society has just produced. It's China by Arthur R. Thompson, our CEO. It's called The Deep State's Trojan. It's called China, but it says below the title, The Deep State's Trojan Horse in America. You better believe it, people. You better believe it. And what, I'm not finished with the book. I got 2 chapters left, but the John Birch Society was formed because Americans realized that we are being sold out to the Soviets after World War II. We thought we had won the war. I do see I have a question. Okay, I'll get to that question. But Americans have thought we'd won World War II. Okay, yeah, we defeated Nazi Germany, but the worst ones during that war, it was the Soviets. And forgive us, our country, because we actually helped the Marxists take over Russia in the early 1900s. It was Wall Street that helped take over. It gave funding to the Bolsheviks, who were anti-God, anti-freedom, and they took out the Tsar of Russia, and they instituted a Marxist government. So the Soviets, most Russians would have never have wanted Marxism to take over Russia, but it was done by a small force of organized people who were heavily funded by American bankers, And so anyways, these bankers on Wall Street have funded World War I, World War II. This book actually explains that. If you get it, you can get it on shopjbs.org. I am thrilled to be reading. I mean, I know some people go, oh, I don't want to know the truth, but you know what? If you know the truth, at least you know who the enemy is. And that's the when you join the John Birch Society, you're constantly learning. It's not endless. It seems like it's endless. Maybe it is endless, but you're always learning, and it's amazing to even. I've been in the society 7 years. I always tell people I went to Cambridge University to study for 1 month when I was in college. I studied international politics. I paid about $5,000 to go to Cambridge to study. I got more out of my $87 membership in the John Birch Society my first year that I was a member. And I did not read every bulletin. I did not read every magazine. But what I learned from the society was incredible, and it changed the trajectory of my activism. And I just want to encourage all of you to dig deeper. I spoke at the county council meeting for my county on Monday, and I drove it pretty hard. I was harsh, and I'm the young guy. I'm half the age of most of the people that sit on council. About half the age. I guess saying I'm half the age is a stretch, but I'm about half the age of most people on the council there. And I was acting as if I'm the adult with what I was saying. But that's the problem. We're dealing with adult children, and the adult children have taken over a lot of public offices. Most of our public offices are ran by adult children. Just look at how they manage their families. Look at how they've torn relationships. They're focused on their selfish desires, and that's what Marxism is all about, is focusing on your selfish desires. Believing in God is exactly the opposite. You're focused on everybody else. You're loving everybody else as you love yourself, and that's incredible. Jared, you have a question here. What do you think about the Washington football team? I don't know anything about the Washington football team. I don't keep up with sports. I've seen nothing today about it. I was a basketball player. I played a little bit of football, a little bit of baseball, but I got worried about what was going on in my country a few years ago, and I just turned just about everything off. I even during the NFL football season, I catch the Super Bowl. That's about all I do when it comes to watching football. And a lot of these, every university today is ran by the Marxist government, because they're funded by, all these student loans are funded by the government, and that's why you see all these universities giving in to what the Marxists want right now. And so, I don't really keep up with college football either, although I do prefer Clemson football over other football, and that's because the coach, does promote Christianity, and I like that. But as far as university football goes, it's socialist football. I mean, it's funded by the government. It's It's all these universities are controlled by the government, and so I'd actually encourage people not to send their kids to universities at this point, and help get them a technical degree or something like that, and put them in the John Birch Society, because we need to win back America. If you if the Marxists take over and you are a family doctor, or if you are an eye doctor, if you're a lawyer or whatever, if you don't have a country, your job is going to pay as much as the grocery store worker that's a teenager. That's what Marxism does. It makes everybody equally poor, and it makes your job miserable as well. So it doesn't matter what your status is as far as what you do for a living. All that matters to the Marxists is that you believe in Marxism, that you got to hate God, you got to believe in study the Marxists, Hitler, Lenin, Karl Marx himself. These people demonstrated to their own families how much they disliked the family unit. Anyways, Ivan Price says, adult children, exactly. Marx was a spoiled brat. Oh, absolutely. Karl Marx was like that child that was given everything, and maybe his parents hoped that he would change when he got older. But the spoiled nature that Karl Marx probably had in his youth continued on the rest of his life, and his family definitely got the brunt of that. And then in the end, everybody around the world has gotten the brunt of it. And Karl Marx is not the founder of communism, but he is definitely the poster child for communism, because we've actually found out that the Communist Manifesto was not even written by Karl Marx or Frederick Engels. It's pretty much delivered to them. It was they need their leaders to lead the effort, and so they basically put that Karl Marx and Frederick Engels were the authors of the Communist Manifesto, but the ideas were alive years before they were born, as we found out from those who have studied the Bavarian Illuminati from Bavaria, Germany. That we know that the ideas of the Communist Manifesto were alive a long time before. The Communist Manifesto was said to be created by Karl Marx, although Karl Marx didn't write the Communist Manifesto. Okay, Jared is saying Washington Redskins were forced to change the name. Yeah, NFL doesn't matter to me anymore. The best thing we do as Americans is to quit watching NFL football. I rooted for the Chiefs all my life. I was excited they won the Super Bowl last season, but you know what? It's time to turn the NFL off. Play with the kids down the street who don't have there's so many things that if we just turn the TVs off, I guess we need to turn our computers off too. And so I guess I'm the first to sin here, because I'm always on my computer. But part of the problem we're facing in America is the lack of connection with others in our community, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that we're glued to our TVs and we're glued to our computers. What if we turned off the NFL on Sunday and actually went to church, everybody? If you're into that, you may not even be into that. You may, but what if you're not a follower of Christ, if you're of a different religion, you want to go to church on Saturday or to your place of worship on Saturday, let's turn the TVs off and start actually participating in the community. Why is it that when I try to round people up in Spartanburg County, the county I live in, South Carolina, we're the rebels, right? The bravest people in America have stood on the grounds of Spartanburg County. This is where Cowpens is located. The greatest battle in America history, which saved us from being controlled by Great Britain. So, but I try to round people up for county council, and I'm asking, I'm letting people know we need to speak out. And I signed up to be the speaker, and I'm the only speaker that spoke at county council Monday. And so one person is not going to change the course of the direction of the county government. But if 100 people showed up, which could have easily been done, had not everybody wanted to be in front of their TV screen on Monday at 5:30 p.m. after work. We would have definitely had a greater effect than just with having me speak. Grab my coffee here. Black Lives Matter and cancel culture. You're right, Jared. I mean, yeah, changing their name, the Washington Redskins, is part of Black Lives Matter and cancel culture, but I don't really care about NFL football at this time. It just needs to go away. I'll just give you an example. Property taxes are a communist strategy. When my wife and I used to live in Cincinnati, our home was taxed because of the Cincinnati Bengals, because of their football stadium. So the Cincinnati Bengals actually participate in Marxism because government, because our homes are actually paying for the football stadium in Cincinnati. I don't live there anymore. I live in South Carolina, but I just wanted to point that out there. Okay, Tom, you said social justice globalists. I never understood why all there is to do and fight for. People would watch the politicalization and disrespect of our country, but that's just me. Why live vicariously through warriors on the field when we all can be warriors for a greater cause? I mean, haven't we watched all the movies about heroes, and watch the Mel Gibson film, The Patriot. I mean, if you watch that film, be like that guy. Be like Mel Gibson and Braveheart. We've watched all these patriotic people, but we don't want to be like them. That's kind of strange, don't you think? That most people in America have probably watched The Patriot, and most people probably watched Braveheart, but when it comes to being brave like them, we lack that. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we've been raised to conform. That's what pastors have. It's what's happened to our pastors. They've been trained to conform. And that's the dangerous thing, is that our pastors are much like the people who are leaders outside of the church. If I'm speaking to those who follow Christ, I mean, when our pastors are no better in the community than the people outside of the church that are also leading, then what does the Christian church come to? And that's a something that we should pay attention to. Rex says here, I now have quit paying attention to baseball as well. The Major League Baseball has come out and said it is okay to kneel. Yeah, I mean, paying tribute to the flag of your country is important. It shouldn't really be this big of a deal, but and what we're seeing is a lot of people who don't want to pay tribute to the flag and salute it are usually supporters of Marxism, or they're anarchist, which usually is both supportive anarchism and supportive of Marxism. And saluting a flag is just a simple way to say, I support my country. If you don't support your country, I had questions at some points in my life. When we were at war with Iraq and George W. Bush was our president, I wondered about this country. I was like, something's wrong here. We're just going overseas and killing innocent people. And now we've learned that the main reason we've been overseas in Iraq and Afghanistan, we're destroying the ancient Christian culture overseas. And we've been told it's been done to get rid of the terrorists who, we actually found out now that we've been funding. The United States government's been funding terrorists. We've been funding the I forgot what the name was in Syria, the Syrian rebels, the peaceful rebels maybe, but they were ISIS members. And so, sometimes I've thought twice about saluting the flag too, because I don't like the fact that our government is engaged in these overseas wars that are unconstitutional. But the fact is that these people who want us to be engaged in these overseas wars that are unconstitutional, they're the ones who don't want us to salute the flag either. They support the Black Lives Movement. So I think Trump was correct, although, I sometimes question if Trump knows it all, of course, but Trump ran on an American first policy, which as Americans, we should always support our country first. And if our country is making mistakes, we correct it, right? Well, we've become a nation of complainers that do nothing. I've seen it on Facebook. We've become a nation of complainers that do nothing. Even at our city government level, I mean, government, there are Marxists actually in our local governments that are frustrated that they can't get more citizens involved, expecting the citizens to help with the Marxist game plan. But so the problem is the Marxists have molded so many Americans into doing nothing that not even the Marxists get enough help in America. You know, we've become a bunch of wimps. We've got a bunch of beta males. The alpha males are out the door, people. You know, the alpha males that we did have, they got obsessed with sports, and the only thing that mattered to them for a long time was football on Saturday and Sunday. That's the blatant truth. Our alpha males were sent overseas to wars they shouldn't have been in, and now a lot of our alpha males are on medications because they suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. Bill Coleman says job one at this point is get out and vote Republican in November, especially in swing states and swing races. Bill, I don't think voting is the voting more. I'm going to vote, okay? And I think everybody should vote for the person that's going to represent America. But encouraging people to just vote is part of the Marxist game plan. We need to encourage people to get involved in their community, to have constitution meetings, to have book reading clubs where you read tough books like this that were just produced by the John Birch Society. How many people are encouraging others to vote, but they've never read the Freedom Index that just came out by the John Birch Society? Have you read that yet? Have you noticed that congressmen all over America are at about 50% when it comes to voting according to the Constitution? So we're so involved and focused on this presidential election right now, but we're not at all focused on our congressmen who are voting half the time for the Constitution and half the time not. What is worse? Tell me, what is worse? Is it worse if you're a football player kneeling when it's the national anthem, or is it worse when you're a congressman that took an oath to obey the Constitution, but yet you don't obey it? And it's proven with this Freedom Index produced by the New American. Go to thenewamerican.com. You can order these in bulk. You can order just one if you want. But what is worse, kneeling for the flag, which I would say is traitorous, although a lot of the young people that do it, they've never been taught otherwise. You've got to understand, a lot of these kids have grown up, they're adult children, they've become professional athletes, and the only people telling them what to do are the only people they're listening to, because a lot of us, we're not building relationships with these people. We've written them off. That could be the same for some of our congressmen. Some of our congressmen may not know the Constitution. I know personally, I've been in the trenches. My congressmen in South Carolina, when I say they're all my congressmen, right? I live in the state. None of them want to learn the Constitution. None of them. No, not even Congressman Jeff Duncan. He doesn't want to listen to me. Not even Congressman Ralph Norman. He doesn't want to listen to me. Especially Congressman William Timmons. He doesn't want to obey the Constitution. He's got his earmuffs on his ear if you start telling him about the Constitution. He doesn't want to hear it. He doesn't want anything to do with the Constitution. He is there to serve himself. That goes for everybody else. Yeah, I think everybody in the Congress right now in South Carolina is there to serve themselves. Everybody. Now, by serving themselves, some pretend to be Republican, and by serving themselves, a few of them pretend to be Democrat. But all in all, their heart's selfish, which is why in their hearts, they're Marxists or Marxist sympathizers, whatever you want to say. I guess somebody might go, oh, you called Congressman Jeff Duncan a Marxist. Well, I mean, if you're not obeying the Constitution, what are you? I guess I could call our 80%ers on the Freedom Index, I guess I could call them neoconservatives. I mean, is that a nice way to put it? Call them neocons? I don't want to be called the neocon or a Marxist. I want to be called American. That's the country I've born and raised in. This is the country I'm going to stay in. This is the country I'm going to try to fix. I'm not going to be a complainer the rest of my life like so many. Tim Martin showed here, he showed a link. I think it's on Facebook. So if you go to Facebook and watch this live, it says this link below has the new issue coming out with all the CFR deep state connections. Should be a sellout issue. Why don't most Americans know about the Council on Foreign Relations? And by the way, Pete said hi. Hello, Pete. Thanks for joining us. And by the way, you can click on that link that Tim shared on my Facebook page. But why is it that most Americans have no clue what the Council on Foreign Relations is? Why is it that most people who are Republican, who want us to vote Republican in November, why is it most of them have no clue what the Council on Foreign Relations is? Well, basically because their Fox News channel and their radio show hosts are controlled by the Council on Foreign Relations. Well, some may say, oh, but Fox News is better than, the alternative, CNN and MSNBC, or, oh, listen to my conservative radio show host is better than listening to the leftist conservative or the leftist radio host. Well, how about just turning all those off and just studying the truth rather than being pulled in the direction of those that want you to be complainers? Rush Limbaugh, he does not want you to speak out against the Council on Foreign Relations. He does not want you to speak out. If he did, he'd tell you that. He knows about the Council on Foreign Relations. He's been talked to by members of the John Birch Society. Mark Levin does not want you to speak out against the Council on Foreign Relations. Why not? Maybe that would end his Fox News contract. Tucker Carlson does not want you to speak out against the Council on Foreign Relations. Why not? So Tim Martin, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you shared the link, because our next issue of the New American Magazine, and I don't have one nearby me. So if you're on Facebook right now, actually I do. I have an old one right by me. This is the old one we used to expose Antifa. If you'd read this back in 2017, you would have not been surprised when Antifa showed up in South Carolina in 2020. Guess who got these all over South Carolina? Guess who helped get these in the hands of police officers and sheriffs all over South Carolina? It was the John Birch Society. So you had all these, it's hard to see because of the light. Let me see here if I can get it. There, you see it better, a little bit better right there. So you had all these police officers educated about Antifa in South Carolina. Guess who educated them? It was our booths at the sheriff's events and at the police chief's events. We've been sending them mailers in the mail to all these police departments, educating them. I think Antifa lasted, what, 3 days in South Carolina? Maybe 2 days. Trump identified them as a terrorist organization, I think 2 days after they showed up in South Carolina. So could have been because we educated the sheriffs, and the sheriffs probably called President Trump and said, these guys are terrorists, just like the John Birch Society told them. Tom says here, if biblically there is only good or evil, I guess that makes things pretty cut and dry. There is good and evil, but somebody who's fallen into the category of being evil can change his heart and become good. Don't give up on people. I mean, people don't like when I say this, but Hillary Clinton could still change to being good. It's just, your heart has to come to God. Your heart has to believe that there's eternal life. Your heart has to believe that you'll be forgiven. There's probably some people watching that right now that don't like what I said, but God's for anybody. God's just waiting for all of us to turn to him. That's the truth. So all these people who have become Machiavellian, they've been selfish as politicians. They've ordered bombing. Look what Lindsey Graham did. I mean, he's ordered the bombing of innocent people all over the Middle East. I mean, he didn't personally kill these people, but he voted for it. He's the one that supported all of it all the way through. Donald Trump has slowed it down somewhat, but why are we still in Afghanistan? Oh my goodness. I mean, Afghanistan is making Vietnam look like a short war. Tim Roberts says, what do I think of Q? Let me share my screen and let me tell you what I think of Q. Give me a second here. I'm going to use technology. How about that? Everybody like that? I'm going to show you what I think of Q. First of all, Q woke up a lot of people. We know that. Q woke up a lot of people, but why did Q take it so far and mislead so many people? If you've ever been embarrassed, it's hard to come back, and especially in politics, if you've ever been embarrassed, like if you've made a statement about something that you thought was true and then you find out it wasn't, and some of the people that you trust listen to you. I've made that mistake before. I'm not I can't say that I've not made mistakes and I haven't been embarrassed. I have been embarrassed before. But this magazine article right here, Questioning QAnon, is what you need to read. It's on the New American website. It's written by Mitchell Shaw. If you read it, you're going to see that, there could have been a chance that the right people were in charge of Q at the beginning, but not anymore. I know a lot has gone on with Q this week. I saw one person that I've known for a little while, Kevin Shipp. He's the former CIA officer that wrote the book From the Company of Shadows. I know that he's telling people that Q is not on our side right now. I saw that on Twitter, and I know he made it look like he supported Q for some time, but no, I don't think Q's on our side. So for those still following Q, get with the John Birch Society. We're not hiding. We're not secret people. I live in my community. I participate in my community, just like the 20, almost 20 other field coordinators of the John Birch Society. We're not hiding. We have nothing to hide. We're sharing with you everything we've got, because the way we win, truth or education is our total strategy, and truth is our only weapon. Say that with me. Education is our total strategy, and truth is our only weapon. I'll say it one more time. Education is our total strategy, and truth is our only weapon. That's how we're going to win this. It's not by following Q. It's already bad enough. I don't have to hear about the pedophiles all over the world. I already know that there's pedophiles controlling governments. And most of the people that are following Q can't even control their local government. They can't even control their county government. They've never even called their sheriff. They don't even know who their congressman is, but yet they know more about the pedophiles all over the world because they've been following Q. Why hasn't Q told them to join the John Birch Society? Why hasn't Q told them to get involved in political action that's meaningful? Because Q's just like Rush Limbaugh. Q's just like Sean Hannity. They want you to pay attention to them only. They don't want you to get active and win the battle. If you win the battle, then they don't have a job anymore. Then they can't confuse you. The society, the John Birch Society, we'd love to go out of business. If we win the war, we could be out of business. If we take it back America, and every American is a constitutionalist, every American is vigilant, and every American is doing its best to protect the God-given rights of life, liberty, and property, then the John Birch Society is out of business. We can go home. We can say job well done. It's probably never going to happen, but we can dream about that time period where we can say job well done and go back to just all being Americans and participating in government correctly. I mean, goodness, when did it ever become true that people who follow God should not participate in government? Most people I know who follow God think that they should not participate in government. How are we supposed to tell people about God if we're all locked up in jail? Because that's where the Marxists are taking us. You think the Chinese are going to let us? Do you think the Chinese are going to let us remain a free people? Do you think the Chinese are going to let us those of us who are love life, liberty, and those of us who believe that God has given us the rights of life, liberty, and property, you think they're going to let us live freely? Do you think they're going to give us desk jobs in their Marxist communities? No, we're done for. If the Marxists take over, those of us who want freedom, those of us who believe in God, we're gone. I mean, they'll probably do to us what they did to the Polish when Operation Keelhaul took place. If you remember, the Polish patriots were shipped back after World War II was over. They were shipped back to Russia and they were killed. Our troops were told by Dwight D. Eisenhower to ship back these Polish patriots to the Russians, the Soviets at the time, and they were killed immediately as they got off the trains, or they were sent to prison camps. Most of them, I think, were killed. But we will be treated just as the Polish patriots were treated after World War II. So take action. Take action, everybody. Tim Roberts said, well said. Thank you, Timothy. Hope I can see you soon. It's been a long time. Tom Munn says, I think human nature will do more than keep the JBS in business. Then, yeah, you're right about that. Human nature will do more than keep the JBS in business. Unfortunately, you know, yeah, there's always going to be evil until, you know, those who follow Christ. I am a follower of Christ. You don't have to be a follower of Christ to join the John Birch Society. You don't have to ever be a Christian to join the John Birch Society. But I do follow Christ. And so my belief is when Christ returns, then that's going to be that time period to where we don't have to deal with that human nature anymore, because the evil is going to go one direction and the good's going to go, you know, with God in his eternal in the kingdom. But while we're here on earth, yeah, human nature will continue. The John Birch Society will remain in business because totalitarianism is just part of that evil, and it's going to remain with us. So thank you, Tom, for sharing that. I'm going to go ahead and leave this live stream. I wanted to test this out to see how it worked. I've learned that Restream is too expensive for me, or it's just not compared to Zoom. I mean, I can just live stream through Restream via Zoom. That's easy enough. But I do like the fact how Restream gathers everybody's comments, whether they're on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and I can see them in one place. So I'm glad you all were participating in this. And, you know, if you want to join the John Birch Society, it's not too late this week. You can do it on jbs.org. I'll show it to you here. I'll share my screen. You go to jbs.org/join. You can join the John Birch Society. There you go, jbs.org/join. And that's how you join the John Birch Society. It's as easy as getting to this page. You can also click here to contact your local coordinator. My ad pops up here, so you get my phone number, 864-804-0789. Again, that's 864-804-0789. If you have any issues joining the John Birch Society and you want to get involved, I'll help you do that. You can call or text me at 864-804-0789. If you're on the side of Marxism, you know, I'd be glad to help you. If you know, you may accidentally be on the side of Marxism. Maybe that's all you're ever told, that socialism works and socialism is the way to go. This idea of Americanism has not been taught to most Americans. So if you want my help with that, if you're on the left side, I'll help you take the baby steps to get with the Americanist program. It takes baby steps. You don't do it overnight. But I'll be glad to help you. I hope you enjoy your weekend. Love one another. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you.